Hey yo, what up? It's your boy. I'm in a hotel room in New York right now. I am on the road for the Trash Taste US tour. What's up? But I figured, it's the month of October while I'm on the road, which means it's the month of spooky time. I figured, just because I'm on the road, just because I'm in a hotel room, I didn't want to slack off and miss out on the spooky season. We've kind of built up this tradition where every single year I recommend some good horror manga, good horror anime, talk about horror, just the genre of horror. So I decided to create a list of just some great horror manga to read during this Halloween. Yo, what up? It's your boy. Before we move on to the video, let me give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, the folks over at Boxu. Boxu is a monthly subscription Japanese snack box that delivers premium Japanese snacks straight from Japan to your door. Boxu partners with family businesses to create signature treats you can't find anywhere else, and it is by far my favorite Japanese snack box. Now, although this video is Halloween themed, being the spooky month of October, over in Japan, we are doing a different celebration to Halloween. Instead, we celebrate the autumn Koyo season. Koyo, which means red leaves, is exactly that. It's the time of year in Japan where all of the green mountains turn into this vibrant red, yellow, and orange hue, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And Boxu has taken that Koyo theme and given us an array of autumn snacks and drinks. And some of these I've never even tried or seen before, like these butter senbei, for example. Butter rice crackers? It definitely feels more like a dessert than a savory snack. I actually quite like that. Or you can have some actual dessert snacks like these beni tenshi flavored kantori mamus. Oishii. All that and a whole lot more can be discovered in this month's Boxu. So if you would like to have yourself a authentic Nippon snack experience, then consider checking out Boxu by clicking the link down in the description below. And just for you boys and girls who are watching this video, if you use my coupon code JOEY15 at checkout, you can get $15 off your first order. Big thank you to Boxu for the sponsor. Onto the video. I've made a ton of videos about all sorts of different horror manga. Some of these manga I've also talked about in past videos, so all the names of the manga are down in the description below if you'd like to check it out, as well as some videos where I've talked about it in more detail. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump into the list, starting off with probably the newest entry into the horror manga genre, and that is Takopii no Genzai. Now, this is a short manga series that came out, I believe, earlier this year, early 2022. It only has 2 volumes, but holy crap, this manga I did not expect. This manga took the concept of psychological horror and just built upon it, turned it into a giant skyscraper, and then just crashed that bitch down like it never existed. But not so much in oh, it ruined everything kind of way. It actually did a really good job of, I guess, deconstructing psychological horror and, really touched upon, I guess, things like, the bullying culture in Japan, the psychological trauma that kids go through as a result of bullying. And it also threw in a little bit of a sci-fi element to it as well, with a little bit of time travel, going across dimensions, stuff like that. All of this packed into 2 volumes of impeccable art. I mean, the artwork by Daisanji Sensei is just chef's kiss. It is really wholesome at times, but also extremely, extremely dark at other times. It's kind of a manga that really just made me go insane a little bit, and as any good horror should, make you go insane just a little bit. The second horror manga I like to recommend is a lot more concerning the physical horror, a lot of body horror. And I've talked about it in a video in the past, and that is Hakaiju, or Creature, I think it's called in English. I've talked about this manga in a past video on the main channel, but oh my god, Honda Shingo, this author, man, I don't know why he isn't talked about more when it comes to amazing body horror artists from Japan, because my god, some of the creatures in this manga, holy crap. As much as I love the GOAT, Junji Ito, I'm telling you, man, there are some panels in this Hakaiju series that I think rival that of Junji Ito when it comes to body horror and macabre. I mean, there is some absolute nightmare fuel in this manga, and I'm talking actual
nightmare fuel. Like, if I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw some of the creatures that is written in this manga under my bed, I think I would shit myself. No, I am positive I would shit myself. It's about 22, 23 volumes from what I remember. I read it all in like one day. Amazing read, just a really good like post-apocalyptic survival horror series with a little bit of psychological thrown into it as well. But yeah, if you just love your amazing horror artwork, this is definitely the manga for you. The third manga is taking it a little bit of a step back and kind of removing the story elements, but upping the atmospheric, the creepy atmosphere. And that is PTSD Radio. Now, Nakayama Masaki, the author of PTSD Radio, has actually made a number of these kinds of short story collections that delve into the horror genre. But I think out of all of the ones that he has done, he also did another one called Juan no Tane, which is also an amazing collection of short stories. But I think PTSD Radio is probably his like pièce de résistance in terms of the dark, moody, brooding, almost like chaotic atmosphere told in such a very quiet and subtle and real spooky way. It's honestly amazing how much Nakayama Masaki can just like create these like absolute horrific imagery that just stick with you for the rest of your life. Like, you know, like when you used to like just accidentally stumble onto like the wrong subreddit and see something that just scarred you for the rest of your life, like inexplicably. PTSD Radio is kind of like that feeling in manga form, except you will get that feeling probably every 3 or 4 pages, because each one of these short stories in PTSD Radio don't really go longer than 3 or 4 pages. Either way, amazing artist, really creepy, spooky atmosphere. If you want to kind of experience these like, you know, maybe short form horror stories, you know, something you'd maybe find on like a creepypasta type of vibe, then definitely PTSD Radio. Solid choice. The fourth manga, we're gonna go all the way back. It's a real fucking throwback machine with this one. We're going with an absolute fucking classic horror manga that I don't think gets enough love in the manga world, and that is Domu. Now, if you've never heard of this manga, don't worry, because a lot of people haven't actually read it, but you will most likely know the author, because it is one Otomo Katsuhiro Sensei, the creator of Akira. And this manga's fucked up. I'm telling you, this manga is messed up. I remember I read this manga actually before I discovered Akira, because my mom's friend was like a really big fan of this manga, and he showed it to me like when I was like 10 or 11 years old. Suffice it to say, it made me a fan of Otomo Katsuhiro, and it really made me appreciate Akira, considering that Domu is technically, even though it's not specifically stated, is technically kind of like a prequel to Akira, or I guess set in the same world. I'm not really too sure, but I definitely get that vibe from it. Some of the imagery in this manga definitely scarred me as a child. But regardless, if you love the grittiness and the rawness of Akira, then Domu kind of takes that grittiness and rawness and pulls it up to an 11 with some really good psychological horror build-ups, as well as some results that will make you drop your jaw to the ground. I'd say Domu is probably the closest we get to a horror manga being closer to a piece of art than it is just a simple horror story. And that is definitely the biggest compliment I can give to any good manga series. This next manga, though, definitely made me question a lot of things, made me wonder why anyone would write something like this. Gruesome imagery, the horrifying theming, and just how absolutely insane and disturbing it is. And that is Ijyousha no Ai. Now, I think I've talked about this in a previous monthly otaku collection. I'll leave that down in the description. If I can remember what I said in that video from years ago, it's that this manga is messed up. I mean, I chose the cover art of volume 2 because it's probably the safest cover of any of the volumes from this manga that won't get this video age restricted or demonetized. This manga's messed up. Basically, it tells the story of these 2 childhood friends, the main character and a girl that, you know, same classmates with, but there was a third girl in this whole mixture. And this third girl is a little bit too obsessed with the main character, to the point where it's like sickening. And amidst her love-crazed rampage that she goes on from a very, very young age, she does some unspeakable, disturbing shit to the MC's friend, who is the girl, to the point where some serious amount of PTSD gets formed years later when they have gone into high school life. The PTSD still weighs down on the shoulders of the main protagonist, so much so that when he spots the girl that did those unspeakable acts. Yeah, some really messed up romantic dynamics show up. If you already weren't afraid of the concept of stalkers and insane ex-girlfriends enough, this manga is definitely going to make you hate both of those things 100-fold. Oh my god, the ending to this manga. I mean, I don't want to give it away in this video because I really recommend you guys go into all of these manga as blind as possibly can. That's why I'm not really explaining a lot of the plots for these manga series. But holy shit, that ending is so disturbing and so unforgettable. That final panel, I remember, the final spread of this manga just made me go, whoa. Like, audibly, it made me go, whoa, as I was holding the book. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Ijyousha no Ai, fantastic psychological horror manga. I think you guys will really dig. And the final two, we're gonna go way back. You guys are probably wondering, oh, you're gonna cover things like Higurashi or Tokyo Ghoul. I'm purposely trying to avoid all of like the really obvious ones, as much as I recommend all of those manga. All this manga are fucking great. The main purpose of this video is to show you guys just how broad the horror genre can be in the manga world. And so these last two manga may not be as well known, but I think if you are a horror manga enthusiast, you should definitely check them out. And the first one that I like to check out is going really far down into the horror manga iceberg. And it is Warau Kyuuketsuki by Suehiro Maruo. Now, Suehiro Maruo, for those of you who have gone down the horror manga or horror anime rabbit hole, you would know is the author, the creator, the infamous creator of one of the most disturbing, messed up, and I believe banned in most countries, anime Midori, or Shoujo Tsubaki, I believe as it's called. You've probably seen tons of videos on it. I watched it in a previous video, and yeah, it's really messed up. So if you've seen or remember anything from Shoujo Tsubaki, then you're probably looking at this cover and going, oh god, this is bringing back some PTSD. I genuinely think this might be more disturbing than Shoujo Tsubaki. I know a lot of people kind of put Shoujo Tsubaki on this like pedestal of like the most fucked up anime ever, but that's because it's one of the few Suehiro Maruo manga that actually got an anime adaptation. If Warau Kyuuketsuki, or The Laughing Vampire, I believe is the English title of it, if this shit got an anime adaptation, dog, it would blow Shoujo Tsubaki out the fucking water. Gore, body dysmorphia, macabre, psychological horror, you name it. Every single checkpoint of the horror genre is thrown into this short manga series. But at the same time, as disturbing as it is, Suehiro Maruo does have a really distinct, unique, very spooky and eerie art style that will definitely hook in horror manga readers right from the first panel. I definitely do not recommend this manga to newbies to the horror manga genre because you may not be able to read another manga again after this one. But if you've kind of gone through the first 5 on this list and, you know, kind of gone through the starter pack of horror manga and you want something a little more gritty and raw without going like too far into the deep end, then I think Warau Kyuuketsuki is a good middle ground and definitely a great starting point to appreciate some of the older, lesser known series. And the final manga series that I like to recommend, I would say probably the apex of horror manga in terms of influence, how much of a craze that it stirred within the horror manga genre, and just for how, I guess, ahead of its time and pretty much timeless. Like, this horror manga, I believe, personally, aged like fine wine. That is Kami no Hideite, Akuma no Migite by Umezu Kazuo. Now, Umezu Kazuo might not be a name that many manga and anime enthusiasts are aware of, but there is another name that you might be aware of that you might be wondering, oh, I didn't really see it on this list, Joey. Why did you not mention Junji Ito? For those of you who don't know, Junji Ito is considered by many as like the father of modern horror manga. But a lot of people, as amazing as Junji Ito is, and I recommend every single thing that Junji Ito has ever created under the sun, we have to remember, guys, that Junji Ito and most of these horror manga artists would not exist if it wasn't for Umezu Kazuo. Because if Junji Ito is the father of horror manga, then Umezu Kazuo is the grandfather of horror manga. And there are many great, fucking disturbing, and just gross Umezu Kazuo manga out there. But I think out of all of the ones that I have personally read, and I haven't read all of them, but out of all of the ones that I have personally read, I think Kami no Hideite Akuma no Migite is probably his best and most defining work. It basically means the left hand of God, the right hand of the devil. And if you read the manga, then that title makes a lot of sense, and I'm obviously not going to tell you guys about it because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, it is some fucking disturbing shit. And it's, again, aged, I think, like fine wine. Just like the whole old school aesthetic that horror manga had back in the day because of authors like Umezu Kazuo, I think has really kind of come back in terms of a style that a lot of people want to explore. And again, without Umezu Kazuo, we wouldn't have any of these other manga that I mentioned in today's video. We wouldn't have the father of horror manga, Junji Ito himself. And I think even outside of the horror manga genre, Umezu Kazuo's techniques in drawing and backgrounds and just like the flow of story and the tension that horror manga can provide to readers, I think was really groundbreaking and revolutionary. And for that, you know, we got to give some respect to the OGs. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Hopefully you guys got at least one good recommendation for this Halloween. And hey, if you are celebrating Halloween wherever you live in the world, then happy Halloween, be safe, be responsible. If you don't want to go outside and touch grass and do trick-or-treating, then here you go. I just gave you a bunch of really great horror manga that you can enwrap yourself in this spooky season. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know down in the comments below any horror manga series that you would personally recommend. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to smack my face right here on screen to subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head, there's a couple more videos you can check out as well if you enjoyed this one. Links to all my socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon down in the description below. And if you have any suggestions on videos you want me to do in the future, let me know down in the comments of this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!